Welcome to outcome-based education. In this video, let's see how closely related are the ETL developer and data engineer roles. If you are already working as an ETL developer, this video may help you to understand the advantages of upskilling yourself to become a data engineer. Earlier days, ETL development has its own dependency or has its own demand in the industry. But nowadays, with the increase in the projects of big data platform related, data engineering role has become a superset and ETL development has become part of it. If you take a close look at the technology stack in ETL developer and data engineer, you will easily understand the common things between these two roles as SQL, data analysis, and business intelligence reporting. But it doesn't mean that ETL developer core related roles like data warehousing, ETL tools, Unix, and shell scripting are going to get wasted if you become a data engineer. Let's take an example. You might be using the shell scripting in your current ETL project to doing the file pre-processing and for the scheduling purposes. In the similar way, if you become a data engineer, you can use the Python programming for the same purpose. You can use the Python to do your pre-processing for your files, and you can also, if you're in cloud and if you're using AWS, you can use the Python for scheduling your jobs as well using Lambda functions. Whatever the work you are doing with ETL tools, like creating the end-to-end ETL pipelines, all that you can achieve using Spark framework. It is just to understand that the target or the goal, end goal which you want to achieve. If you are using big data platforms, what are all the technologies or frameworks you need to use to achieve that? It's as simple as that. If you are using data warehousing in ETL developer, in data engineer there is nothing called data warehousing. Instead, you will be having Hive tables. Underlying that, we will use Hadoop file system as a placeholder for your entire dataset. Let's look at the verbos that you use in ETL developer and in data engineer rules. If you are calling the current ETL process as ETL pipeline or end-to-end ETL process, you will be calling the same thing as data pipeline and you become a data engineer, especially in big data platform. And there is no such thing called data warehouse. Instead, you call it as data lake, because here you are not concentrating on the tables and the relationships between the tables. Unlike in ETL projects, you will be always focusing on the files and the file types you are storing in HDFS or either in S3. SQL will be similar to what you are using right now, the ANSI SQL, but it will be either Hive SQL, we call that as HQL, or it is Spark SQL. I mean, using Spark also, Spark framework also, you can write SQLs. When you call as table refresh in ETL projects, in big data projects, we call that as data ingestion. If you are working on OLAP or OLTP related projects, there is nothing called OLTP in data engineering or big data, because in general, we don't encourage transaction related projects or transaction related data in big data. We prepare or we build the data lakes in big data projects to accommodate or to facilitate the analytics projects for them. So it's all OLAP here. In OLAP itself, two of the projects will be batch processing. Means you will be having a daily batch or weekly batch or even an hourly batch. Some projects will be having streaming data, for which we will be using either Kafka or Spark streaming, which is again not a real-time streaming, but it's a near real-time. We call that as micro batch processing. Okay. There are few additional skills if you want to consider yourself to become a good data engineer and to grab new opportunities in the industry. There are AWS, Azure, or GCP if you can learn as a cloud technology, and Snowflake, which we call that as cloud data warehouse, and Kafka. very good for streaming applications. Let's look at few questions that you will be having right now. So if you feel like where to start to become a data engineer, as you are currently working on any of the ETL tools like DataStage, Informatica, Pentaho, or even Teradata, you might be good at building the ETL pipelines and you might be also good at SQL already. So what you can do right now is to start with a programming language. So if you want to take any role in big data platform, the two popular programming languages you can consider to learn is either Python or Scala. But let me tell you this, if you start with Python, there are a lot of advantages. One thing is, if you know SQL only and if you are working as an ETL developer, I assume that if you are new to programming, in that case, Python is much easier for you to learn than the Scala. Next thing is, if you learn Python, Python can be used for multiple purposes. Python can be used for file processing, can be used for object-based programming, and can be used for scripting also. And also can be used if you want to upgrade yourself from data engineer to data scientist role. So in multiple ways you can use Python. And yes, very well you can use Python with Spark also. So in the further videos coming under this space, we can learn how you can use Scala, how you can use Python, and what else you need to do to become a data engineer. But for now, I'll be concluding with this. What kind of project you can get into if you start learning all these technologies that are related to data engineer role. So nowadays, data engineering is there everywhere. If you want to become a data engineer, all these skills will be helpful. Also, if you want to grab any other data oriented roles like data analyst or business analyst or even data scientist, data engineering means extraction of data, transformation, and then loading is part of all data oriented roles. So you can choose any of these roles, whichever you are interested. That's all. Stay tuned for more videos in this space. Thank you.